The year was 1939. The world watched with bated breath as Europe, still scarred from the Great War, teetered on the brink of another devastating conflict. World War I, which had ended just 2 decades earlier, had left behind a trail of destruction, both physical and emotional. Millions lay dead, empires had crumbled, and a sense of disillusionment pervaded the globe. The world was a very different place than it had been before the guns of August 1914 had erupted. The war to end all wars, as it was tragically dubbed, had failed to live up to its name. Instead of ushering in an era of peace and prosperity, it had sown the seeds for future conflicts. The Treaty of Versailles, intended to ensure lasting peace, had instead bred resentment and instability. Economic depression gripped many nations, further fueling a sense of despair and anger. It was in this climate of uncertainty and fear that a new generation came of age, a generation that would soon be forced to confront the horrors of war on a scale even greater than their predecessors could have imagined. This is the story of World War II, a conflict that would engulf the globe, testing the limits of human endurance and forever altering the course of history. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, was meant to be the peace treaty to end all peace treaties. Instead, it became a symbol of resentment and a contributing factor to the outbreak of World War II. The treaty, drafted by the victorious Allied powers, placed harsh penalties on Germany, holding it solely responsible for the war. Germany was forced to cede territory, disarm its military, and pay crippling war reparations. These terms, while understandable from the perspective of the victors, had a devastating impact on Germany. Humiliation and economic hardship fueled resentment among the German population. The treaty created a breeding ground for extremist ideologies, most notably the Nazi Party, led by Adolf Hitler. Hitler skillfully exploited the widespread anger and discontent, promising to restore Germany to its former glory. He denounced the Treaty of Versailles as a dictated peace and vowed to overturn its provisions. The treaty, intended to prevent future wars, had inadvertently created the conditions for a new and even more devastating conflict. As the 1930s unfolded, a dangerous new force emerged on the world stage: totalitarian regimes. In Germany, Adolf Hitler's Nazi Party rose to power, promoting a toxic mix of nationalism, militarism, and anti-Semitism. Hitler's Germany embarked on a massive rearmament program, in direct violation of the Treaty of Versailles. Meanwhile, in Italy, Benito Mussolini had established a fascist dictatorship, glorifying war and territorial expansion. In Japan, a militaristic government, driven by imperial ambitions, sought to establish dominance in Asia. These 3 nations, Germany, Italy, and Japan, would form the core of the Axis powers. Bound by a shared disdain for the post-World War I world order, these dictators embarked on a path of aggression and conquest. They believed in military strength, territorial expansion, and the subjugation of other nations. Their actions would plunge the world into the deadliest conflict in human history. Section 4. The Storm Breaks. From Poland to Pearl Harbor, the world at war. The uneasy peace that had settled over Europe since 1918 was shattered on September 1, 1939, when Germany invaded Poland. This act of aggression triggered a chain reaction, as Great Britain and France, honoring their commitments to Poland, declared war on Germany. World War II had begun. The German Blitzkrieg, a lightning-fast form of warfare utilizing tanks and air power, swept through Poland, overwhelming the Polish defenses. What followed was a series of stunning German victories, as Denmark, Norway, the Netherlands, Belgium, and France all fell to the Nazi war machine. By the summer of 1940, Germany stood triumphant over much of Western Europe. On December 7, 1941, the war took a dramatic turn when Japan, seeking to cripple the United States Pacific Fleet and secure its own dominance in Asia, launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The attack, which killed over 2,400 Americans and damaged or destroyed numerous ships and aircraft, shocked the American public and galvanized the nation for war. Section 5. A Global Struggle. Key Battles and Turning Points. World War II was a global conflict, fought on multiple fronts across Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Pacific. From the frozen battlefields of the Eastern Front to the scorching deserts of North Africa, from the islands of the Pacific to the skies above Europe, the war raged on for 6 long years. Several key battles marked turning points in the conflict. The Battle of Stalingrad, fought between August 1942 and February 1943, was a brutal, months-long struggle that resulted in a decisive Soviet victory and marked a turning point in the war on the Eastern Front. D-Day, the Allied invasion of Normandy, France, on June 6, 1944, opened a second front in Western Europe, ultimately leading to the liberation of France and the defeat of Nazi Germany. In the Pacific, the Battle of Midway, fought in June 1942, proved to be a turning point, halting Japan's advance and putting the United States on the offensive. Island-hopping campaigns, like those at Iwo Jima and Okinawa, brought the war closer to Japan, culminating in the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. Section 6. The Home Front. Civilians and the war effort. World War II was a total war, one that demanded the participation of entire societies. On the home front, civilians played a vital role in supporting the war effort. Factories were converted to wartime production, churning out tanks, planes, ships, and munitions. Rationing became a way of life, as food, clothing, and other essential goods were carefully allocated to support the troops overseas. Women played an especially crucial role, stepping into jobs traditionally held by men who had gone off to fight. They worked in factories, shipyards, and offices, keeping the war industries humming. They also served as nurses, ambulance drivers, and air raid wardens, providing vital support on the home front. Children, too, contributed to the war effort, collecting scrap metal, tending victory gardens, and boosting morale with their youthful enthusiasm. World War II was a shared experience, one that touched the lives of every citizen, regardless of age, gender, or background.